this little gem needed a much better review. I am the Game Collector and this is Second Opinion Games. And today I review Wolfenstein 3D for the Atari Jaguar.
Second Opinion Games.
Wolfenstein 3D is one of the best and most heavily ported games to ever exist. Seriously, it was out on like everything short of the Apple IIe and the Atari 2600, but I'm sure someone has a version of that out there. Now, in 1994, they brought it to the Atari Jaguar, and they did a terrific job on this one. The storyline is BJ Blazkowicz takes his orders directly from the freaking president to go in and take out the Third Reich. Now, there are 6 different missions with a few different levels per mission, so there's plenty of game here to go around. Looking at the Jaguar controller, you wouldn't think it would be able to pull off this game too well. Well, I'll tell you what, they had the controls dead on. A, B, and C can be customized any way you want, but I prefer to play with B as the fire button, A being the speed up button, which you don't really have to use that much, only if you're trying to run through the level as fast as humanly possible, and the C button for the strafing. Yes, there is no circle strafing in this game. You have to hold the C button and move left and right just to work your way around corners, and hopefully you don't fall into too many traps. The pause button obviously pauses the game, and the options button cycles through your weapons. Luckily, there's only a handful of weapons here, so it doesn't get too confusing. On Doom, they restricted this to the number pad down below, which meant you always had to keep looking down to figure out which buttons you need to press, or you just had to know the controller that stinking well. The 1, 2, and 3 button are the save states. Now, it only really saves at the beginning of the level, so if you're running around and you're almost dead and you decide to save real quick, well, you're going to be almost dead at the very beginning of the level when you go to retry it. So I don't recommend doing that, and only saving when you feel comfortable with how much ammo and how much health you have. The 5 button is for the map. This also works as a pause, but I gotta tell you, this map is really good. It auto-fills in as you run around, so you know where you've been and where you haven't. And it really doesn't show certain spots like secrets on the map too well. You kind of have to unlock those on your own. And you have to use the strafe button to unlock the hidden passages on the walls. Now, there are quite a few pickups in this game, most notably the different kinds of weapons. Of course, you start off with a knife and a pistol. The knife is completely useless, and chances are you're not going to use it really at all, only when you completely run out of ammo and all of your other weapons. The pistol is also pretty darn useless, and if you die, you have to start off with the pistol all over again. However, there are plenty of cheat codes that give you all the weapons right up front, so you could either take that method or you just reload a save state every time you die so you have all of your weapons back. There's also a machine gun, which is pretty useful and conserves your ammo, but it doesn't quite fire fast enough. No, your main weapon is the Gatling gun, which does a devastating amount of damage, and you will go through ammo lightning quick. Also, if you like the flamethrower, well, that is here and does a great job. However, it shows the blast right in front of you and kind of obstructs your view just a little bit. But it's not the most powerful weapon in this game. No, that is the bazooka, as the bazooka in this game doesn't really work how you think it would. It doesn't hit something and just explode. No, it hits and runs through as many enemies as it needs to until it does all the damage it can do. These are the weapons of the game, and luckily you could easily cycle through them, as mentioned before, with the options button. There's only a handful of enemies here, and they all seem to be done in 2 dimensions, except for the dog. Occasionally you can see it from a side view, but it doesn't happen too often. There's the regular guard, which goes down really quick. He's really quite weak, and he also shouts every time you enter a room. Also shouting is the officers in the white, which are just bullet sponges like every character in this game, but they act a bit more aggressive. The SS has machine guns, will come right at you hard, and they will go down pretty darn quick as well. The mutants, though, are the ones you really have to worry about. because they don't attack you when you make a noise. Also, they don't shout when you enter a room, so you don't know how many of them are there. Instead, when they see you, they come out and attack. So around corners, these guys can be really deadly and really keep you on your toes. When you get hit by one of them, well, the whole screen flashes a little bit of red to let you know that you received some damage. This is a pretty good thing because I've played, quote, superior versions of this game where it doesn't flash at all and never letting you know when you're losing energy, and eventually you just die not realizing what the freaking heck happened. The bosses here are pretty neat. The first two operate the exact same way. They're just two huge guys with Gatling guns that just come straight at you and tries to kill you. The evil doctor secludes himself in a room and he is guarded by his mutants and throws freaking hand grenades at you, and he goes down pretty quick as well. No, the fourth boss of the game is where things really get interesting. The Uber Mutant. The boss battle with the Uber Mutant is where the game really starts getting real. Instead of fighting in a wide open space where you can run and hide every time that the boss gets a little too close to you, instead you have much tighter rooms and tighter corridors. Also, there's enemies strung out everywhere. So as you run from room to room, you're gonna be ambushed pretty hard. On top of it, the Uber Mutant seems to chase you down. And because he takes so many hits, even from the freaking bazooka, you continuously have to run away from him. So this is probably the hardest boss battle in the entire game. And when you defeat him, you feel like a real champ. The next boss is the Death Knight, who is just as hard, if not maybe a little easier, maybe a little harder. The corridors aren't nearly as tight, so there is some room to run, but he still takes one heck of a lot of damage. By the time you come to Mecha Hitler at the end of the game, well, he is just a pushover because he's kind of in some more big open rooms again. Even if there is a lot of enemies leading up to him and you might not have enough ammo, well, chances are there's some secrets around the corner that you could get a restock of life and ammo along the way. So even he is going to go down really fast. Unlike Doom for the Jaguar, this actually has music, and it really does a great job for setting the tone. There's only about 4 or 5 different tracks, and some of them sound more action-packed, so you have to run through. And other times, the music becomes more inquisitive. That means you have lots of secrets in this map, and you have to move around the corners with a bit more care. You do know when there's a boss battle because the music gets really serious then, with very ominous sound bells. No matter how you look at it, the sound effects really set the stage in this game, and so does the overall musical score, which I believe is terrific. Now, gameplay-wise, it's not perfect. I would have preferred to have some type of circle scraping in the game, but because this was developed long before the 6-button controller, well, it's just not here. However, that's really a small complaint. The much bigger complaint here is that there is some occasional slowdown, but it never really gets in the way too much, and it doesn't happen that often. Now, some people could compare Wolfenstein 3D on the Jaguar to its counterpart on the 3DO, and that's really like comparing a minivan to a pickup truck. Depending on what you need it to do, it can do different things for you. Yes, the 3DO version is like 10 times freaking longer. However, the slowdown here is far worse, but it also has the circle scraping. And switching back and forth between weapons on the 3DO version isn't as simple as pressing one option button. No, you have to hit a combination of buttons on their 3-button control pad where it's like A and C. Can you imagine that on the Genesis, hitting a combination of A and C or B and C to either pull up your map or your freaking weapons? And when it pulls up the map, it becomes really choppy. And the worst part about this is it doesn't tell you which direction you're actually facing. On the Jaguar version, you can clearly see the map and where you are facing, making it the best version of the game, even if it is 1/10 the size. All things considered, playing on the PC is probably your overall best way to go. But if you're a console gamer, then you need to look no farther than Wolfenstein 3D for the Atari Jaguar. On top of it, the treasure gives you extra life, like you could go over 100%. The 3DO version doesn't have that at all, because my guy is fueled by greed. After all, he is kind of Jewish with a name like BJ Blazkowicz, which also makes it really satisfying as you take out these German bad guys. And this is the best game on the Atari Jaguar. But of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it, and the game is so good. This was the reason why I decided to cover games for the Atari Jaguar in the very first place. So if you love that console, well, I reviewed every single game for it. Matter of fact, this is a re-review. So if you want to see the original really bad review when I first started this channel, I'll put a link down below. And if you want to purchase this game, well, I'll also try and put a link down below for that as well. So I want to hear your suggestions on what games I should cover in the future, or what ideas you just want to give me for different future events. So until later, I will see you again, guys.